I am Dr. Chanika Charanwong, a lecturer in Banking and Finance Division at Nanyang Business School. Joining me here is our alumni, Mr. Jeremy Tan. Jeremy, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Jeremy. I graduated from MBS in 2018. Currently working as a corporate strategy associate for Abdul Latif Jamil, a Middle Eastern conglomerate.
Okay, Jeremy will share his experiences at NBS and also his working experiences with us today. All right, when we talk about banking and finance, okay, we are talking about how to manage money, right? If you are specialized in banking and finance, you will learn how to perform the financial management of a corporation and or individual. Okay, you will learn about financial markets, how financial intermediaries and institutions operate, how to invest, how to evaluate the financial projects, and how to price any financial assets, etc. Okay, so let's see why specialize in banking and finance. I will talk about two main aspects. The first aspect is about the career path opportunity. Okay, we all know that financial sector is very important for our Singapore economy. The sector contributes close to 16% of nominal GDP of our economy and employs around 170,000 people. And in the last 5 years, about 21,000 financial sector jobs were created, and about 76% of these jobs go to Singaporeans. Okay? And in the first 9 months of year 2021 last year, the financial services sector grew by 8%. Even during the COVID situation, okay? And it created 2,000 net jobs. 100% of these jobs went to locals. So you can see that when we look at the job in financial sector, is still bright. Moreover, MAS aims to make Singapore the leading global financial center in Asia by developing 8 key focus areas: asset management, enterprise financing, wealth management, foreign exchange and derivative, fixed income, infrastructure finance, sustainable finance. MAS also encourage banks to come up with a more green financing method and also more green products. Okay, and the last focus is in insurance and risk financing. According to the IBF, or the Institute of Banking and Finance, the industry leaders have identified 6 main key skills needed by finance practitioners, okay, in our changing industry now. Those are 6 skills on the screen. All the finance employees should be aware of digital technology, should have entrepreneurial thinking, should be able to analyze any data to come up with a good decision making, and also have good communication with customers and engage customers through the digital platform, and have ability to design products and services based on the customer's perspective. And the last skill that needed is how to manage the risk arising from new technology. Okay, so you can see that banking and finance specialization provides good career path opportunity. Yeah. Right? You agree with it?
Definitely. I think it gives a good foundation.
Yes. All right. Now let's talk about the second aspect. Okay, job and salary. During the last 2 or 3 years, COVID pandemic situation, some sectors got hard hit, okay, having wages cut. But you can see from the chart on the screen that in year 2020, the wages in the financial insurance services sector still grew at 3.4%, although lower rate than year 2019, okay, which was 5.6%. Okay, so you can see that in year 2020, the wages in financial and insurance services sector still have growth, highest growth among various industries, okay, among various sectors. And when we talk about some of high-paying finance jobs include portfolio managers, investment banker, actuary, quantitative analyst, and securities trader. Okay, and according to Morgan McKinley salary report, okay, they classify annual salary for the banking and finance in Singapore into three main categories. Depending on the length of the service, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years, and more than 15 years. Okay, you can see that the highest paying jobs in banking and finance in Singapore are those in the investment banking, okay, and followed by private banking and commercial banking, right? Now let's talk about our fresh graduate. Last year class of 2021. The graduates, okay, under the single degree banking finance specialization, the employment rate is about 96.3%. For the double degree accountancy and banking finance, the employment rate is 98.7%. And these are the top 5 industry sectors that our fresh graduates are working in. Okay, the first 3 are financial and insurance sector. Second one is the information and communication sector, and the third is the legal, accounting, and auditing. Right. The top occupations are sales professionals, financial analysts, very popular, information technology project manager. We have fund portfolio manager and also securities dealer and broker as well. Our fresh graduate class of 2021 were placed in many banks, okay, both foreign and locals, right? For example, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, HSBC, DBS, okay, and so on. And not only in banks, they are working in other corporations and manufacturers as well, such as Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Dyson, Singtel. Okay, these are the example of their employers only. Okay. All right. Let's see what industry our fresh graduates are working in. For the single degree banking finance specialization, about 67% are in finance and insurance sector, followed by 6% in information and communication sector, and 6% in public administration and defense. Okay, but for double degree, accountancy and banking finance, about 58% are in financial and insurance sector, and 13% in legal, accounting, and auditing, because they have accounting background too, right? Yeah, so they work in the legal, accounting, and auditing sector. And another 8% in information and communication. Okay, so you can see that when we talk about banking finance specialization, this specialization provides you with a good career path opportunity and also good job and salary, right? Now, let's see why banking and finance at NBS. Okay, firstly, our faculty has reputation, good reputation. Okay, and there are over 30 full-time faculty come from different or various countries. Okay, and many of them have industry working experience. Secondly, our program, we have 3-year program, right? With honor, okay, and 4-year double degree program. We revise our program regularly, and all the courses are revised to meet the demand from the industry. Okay, let's talk a bit about the classroom. By average, there are about 35 to 45 students per class. Okay, and we have both individual assignment and group work assignment that involve team-based learning. Okay, and our university also partner with the CFA and CAIA. Thirdly, why banking finance at NBS? our program provides internship opportunity. Okay, we offer opportunity for students to do internship more than one internship. Okay, we will talk a bit more. Jeremy will share experience of his internships with us later. Right? At the end of year one, students will do the first internship during the holiday, okay, school holiday. We call professional attachment, and duration of this internship is about 8 to 10 weeks. After that, in year 2 and 3, students can choose to do additional internships. We are partners with many financial companies in financial sector, okay, including banks, okay. And moreover, students can extend their internship through the work study degree program, okay. And this program is supported by MAS, right? If you do internship after work study degree program, you will earn AU as well, okay. And the duration for the internship under work study degree program is about 25 weeks up until maximum 35 weeks. That means students can take leave of absence for the whole long semester, okay, to do internship. We provide many opportunities for internships so that students can explore different roles in different industry, right? And you can make decision after graduate whether which area that you want to work for, right? Lastly, we have beautiful campus, okay? We have Nanyang Garden in front of our business school building. And one good thing is we are going to have a new business building, right? Large wooden building, okay? Constructed using mass engineered timber, okay? So this new building will be beautiful and look natural, okay? And also meet the sustainability perspective, okay? And one last thing I would like to mention is we also at NBS, we also have a strong career of office services, okay? Jeremy, okay? You are double degree student, right? Accountancy and banking and finance. And why did you choose banking and finance as your second degree? Yeah.
Yeah, I think an interesting story about this, right? So I think when I first pursued MBS or NTU as an undergrad opportunity or as an undergrad degree, I wanted accounting. So like I'm a very accounting guy. I keep track of my expenses. I'm that sort of guy. So to me, accounting was something that I wanted to. And then what eventually persuaded me, or what attracted me actually, not even persuaded, attracted me to go into the double degree was the fact I attended such tea sessions. Back then, it was held at MBS. It was a nice tea session. You go around with food, you attend sessions, and ultimately, the double degree program and the business program, it boosted your prospects, you know, as an undergraduate or as a graduate after finishing a degree. So to me, that was ultimately what attracted me to taking an accountancy and business program. And then eventually, when I had to decide, you know, the second part of it, right, the business part, what specialization do I go in? That was when I think there are two different aspects. So one aspect is that for banking and finance wise, I think it did complement my accounting degree rather well. And also, I was also interested in exploring the finance roles, so the different banking industry roles that Dr. Chanika mentioned just now. So those were things that I was interested to explore in. And secondly, honestly, I think it was more of a like GPA strategic decision, I would say, because I'm a more numbers person. So I think that I would perform a little bit better in banking and finance modules. And ultimately, that led to me, you know, going to banking and finance. And it turned out well. I enjoyed my classes there, and yeah, it was a good career prospect after that.
Okay, good to hear that.
Yes.
Okay, and did you join any club during your time at NBS?
Within NBS, no, I really didn't join any clubs within NBS. I did join the orientation camp committee. So that back then, that was one of the areas that I contributed back to NBS as a student leader there. 2 years, 1 year as a committee member, and the second year as exco. And I think for me, in that period of experience, it was interesting, because there was also a period whereby there was quite a bit of scrutiny from the media on orientation camps, right? So I think that was where change had to happen, and that was the experience that we had to go through. And I enjoyed my time there, giving a good experience to the new freshmen coming in.
Yeah, okay. Actually, we have many academic clubs, right? Yeah, we have investment club, banking and finance club. We have investment interactive club, Nanyang Capital Club. Okay, many kind of club. But I have heard that you joined one club. It's non-academic club, right? Cultural club. What is that?
So the cultural aspect, I did join and kind of started up is harmonics. So it's basically out of NBS, more at the NTU level under the cultural activities club. So it's basically an a cappella group that promotes a cappella music, and we also perform a cappella music within NTU. So I think that the element of it's also maybe one part that I would share a little bit more later as to that's where you can really explore a lot of what you want within NTU. The resources are there as long as you are keen to kind of push yourself to explore, to grab whatever resources there are. The opportunities are there. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And what do you think about NBS culture? Our culture, about people or society around NBS?
For me, I did enjoy the NBS culture. I think largely it's a very vibrant school, faculty itself, right? So I think part of it, maybe it's the students that come through to accountancy and business. They are a little more outgoing. And in classes, the curriculum it expects you to speak out a bit more. It expects you to work together with people in projects, to present yourself a little bit more, as business professionals and accounting professionals. So I think that's where everybody's personality is a bit more, we'll chit chat, and they have great memories around MBS, the whole campus. And I think as what Dr. Chanika mentioned, I think one of the non-academic clubs in MBS, the ABC, I'm not sure if they're still around, but they are the ones that also kind of organize quite a bit of events, social events, welfare. It keeps the campus not just here for studying. You're here to meet your friends, you're here to interact with others, to know about more things. So I think that made the campus life actually more interesting.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
To specialize in banking and finance, okay, students don't need to have a good math, okay, or statistic, right? But you should feel familiar, okay? Be comfortable in dealing with numbers, okay? Because many advanced finance courses, our finance course may involve with the more quantitative content, right? So let's see the banking and finance course curriculum. You have to take 2 core courses, okay? Ethics in the investment profession and investment course, okay? And then choose 6 electives that we call prescribed elective courses from all these courses available, okay? We classify these courses into 4 main clusters: wealth management, asset management, investment banking, and fintech cluster, right? If you know what you are going to work, if you know what area you are going to work in after your graduation, for example, you want to be a wealth manager, okay? So you may choose more elective courses under the wealth management cluster. See? If you want to work or explore in a fintech industry after your graduation, you may want to choose more courses under fintech cluster, right? But if you don't know which area you are going to work in after graduation, don't feel stressed, because you can choose any 6 elective courses from all these courses across 4 clusters. For example, you may choose wealth management under the wealth management cluster, fixed income security under asset management cluster, financial modeling under investment banking cluster, and blockchain and AI under fintech cluster. Okay, so you can choose any 6 elective classes across these 4 clusters if you are not sure what area you are going to work in after graduation, right? You also have options to choose minor in strategic communication or international trading. Okay, there are other minor courses for you to choose from other school as well. Okay, and you also have option to choose the second major in entrepreneurship. This is a joint program between Nanyang Business School and the Nanyang Technopreneurship Center. Okay, this full-time 3-year degree also offers 20-week hands-on experiential session. Okay, so you will actually entrepreneurship major also complement banking and finance Bachelor of Business as well. Okay, because when you go into the real world working, you may want to start up your own company, right? So the courses in the second major in entrepreneurship will help you to, have a vision how to start the company and how to deal with the finance of the company, which is very important division of the corporation, right? Okay, now Jeremy, at NBS, did you find banking and finance courses hard?
Yes, so like I would definitely say like the expectations were met and exceeded. Banking and finance courses, they are definitely rigorous. So I think for me, those are challenging. So, but eventually, what you had to do, right? Eventually, to kind of conquer this courses, eventually, it's that there's a lot of preparation required. So because the courses themselves are rather rigorous, ultimately you have to prepare for the classes. And honestly, it's for all classes. I would say for other current grads or current undergrads or incoming students, you have to prepare all courses, read them thoroughly so that eventually you do learn a little bit more during classes, can clarify questions. So yeah, I would say rigorous. And so that's one part of it. And then secondly, I would say in banking and finance, it is competitive. So like as competitive as you hear in the industry itself, it kind of starts way in undergrad. Like students here are competitive. They all want to get an ace, their A+, and whatever that higher score is. So people do put, I think in general, people put in all the effort. And in banking and finance, I would say I observe people putting in a lot more effort to getting that ace, and that's where you're competitive, and therefore that makes the courses even more challenging to even score your grades.
Do you have any additional advice for the new student when they come into year one, right? And they have to take courses that they haven't taken before, right? Statistics, financial management, accounting, business law, etc. Okay, so how to do well for these courses? What have you done at NBS?
Yeah, I think for this there are two parts to it. I think with banking and business degree in general, a lot of them, because of the age that we're living in now, a lot of information are really readily available online. So I do one part of it is that do prepare yourself for classes by researching online for some points that you don't know. I honestly think that most of them would be available there. There's obviously some intricacies within the knowledge itself or the theory itself that requires more clarification. But ultimately prepare for that one. And then the second part of it is, for me, what helped me through the 4 years was to have a study group. So for me, I think study group was very important. I had a few group of trusted friends that I had throughout the 4 years that, because everybody have their own strength. And that's where you play to that, right? Both in group works and also in your study as well. So when you have questions on certain aspects, you have this group of friends, can always ask, can always clarify, can always debate, even about things that you understand in class or different topics. So I think that did help me through my 4 years in MBS.
Actually, right now, for year one courses, many year one courses offer peer tutoring session now. Yeah, yes. It's a good experience for the student and also for the peer tutors. Okay. All right. Now let's talk a bit about internships. Yes. Yeah. Do you think that more internships would really help students in their career, or only one specific internship would be sufficient?
From my perspective, I think there's never enough for internship. I think internship is really where you discover what you like. So maybe a bit more beyond that, right? So I think so there are two parts to it that I would share about this. So I think before even engaging in internship, I think there are workshops, there are sessions, there are career talks that you can have before exploring internships to discover what is out there. Because personally, that was how I found management consulting as a career eventually. It was actually through a 1-hour workshop that was held, I think, either by MBS Career Office or NTU Career Office. It was a 1-hour workshop whereby an ex-McKinsey lady. She had a 1-hour case interview with the students in a seminar room. And then at the end of that 1 hour, it was the most alive, as in it's a bit geeky, but it's the most alive that I felt ever after the 1 hour. And that eventually kind of pivoted my career prospect. I think to me, that's one aspect, to go as much, and there are a lot out there, not even beyond NTU, there are a lot of these kind of sessions, workshops, introductory classes for you to attend to understand the career. And then roughly, if you have a gauge of what suits you, then explore internship. Because internship, eventually, it's where you actually practice what people say, right? And then eventually that's where you kind of know whether this is for you, this is not for you. And different companies, different size of companies also matters. So that kind of gives you an idea of, okay, what kind of company size do you want to kind of work in? Yeah.
And how many internships did you have? And can you share your experience of internship with us?
Yeah, sure. I had, I think, I would say three internships that I had. So I think one was year 2, there's a comparison. It's like back then, it was year 2 professional attachment. So that was when year 2 onwards I started my professional attachment. And because I shared just now, since the end of year 1, I had inclination towards management consulting. And that was where all my internships were kind of landed towards that. So that's where I explored a boutique consulting firm for my year 2 internship. That was a great experience. It was a smaller outfit. The consultancy company focused more on risk management and also a bit more of private equity aspect of it. So to me, that gave me a view of how a small run boutique consulting company runs. And the things that with this kind of companies, what you get is the exposure to a very my partner. So basically, it was a very flat hierarchy, right? In this kind of small outfits, but it's just your partner, and then your partner has 30 over years of experience in the industry. So there's a lot to get from them, a lot to learn from them through the experience there. So that was my first one. And the second one was with Accenture. So Accenture is more of a bigger corporation. They have multiple offices, and that's where you kind of see how you perform within a bigger, way bigger organization, how things are more structured there, what kind of opportunities you have there. So I think that was an interesting part as well with Accenture. And then after
How long?
That was actually for 3 months. So the first one with Dragonfly, so that was a boutique consulting firm. I did a part-time, and then I did a full-time during summer. And then with Accenture, it was 10 weeks. It was quite a short 10 weeks program. And thereafter, I took an LOA for 6 months. So what I've mentioned previously was more external consulting, whereby you faced clients. So eventually what I had for my last 6 months was an internal consulting role. So it was with Allianz Consulting, and with many of the European countries, they actually do have such consulting teams that are being set up, European companies. And a lot of consulting teams that are set up within the company. And so what these internal consulting teams, they do is they help with the transformation projects, help with the strategy of the companies themselves. So beyond the company looking for external, they also do help internal companies themselves. So that's one, you're facing more internal stakeholders. And then ultimately, some of them, they actually, a few key examples, right? DHL, Volkswagen, once you get so good at being consulting within your company, you do also branch out. So they eventually also set up their own consulting companies outside, and they are branded as DHL Consulting, specializing in supply chain, or Volkswagen, specializing in automotive. So I think that was quite an interesting part of management consulting that I kind of explored in my last 6 months. And then eventually with that, I landed my first job after I graduated.
Okay, all right, yes. That's good. 3 internships.
Yeah, 3 internships.
Okay, and how do you cope with NBS student life? You see, you have internships, right? You have 3 internships, and you have to study hall activities, sports, competition, or co-curriculum. Yeah, so many kind of activities. How did you cope with it?
I would say for me, I would definitely say my 4 years with NTU and MBS, it's been hectic. I think one of my biggest motto, as in when I came into NTU or when I started as undergrad, was work hard, play hard. So I really participated in quite a bit of activities back in hall, back within MBS itself, as sharing the orientation camps. Outside of NTU, outside of MBS, within NTU, I joined consulting clubs. There was the a cappella club that I was mentioning just now. So I think what I would say about coping is that I feel like this undergrad 4 years that you have, or 3 years that you have, is a very interesting part of your life, whereby you are kind of free from the traditional secondary school, JC, or poly education, but it's kind of defined by the curriculum, by the school. But as an undergrad, you can choose what you want to do. You can take control. You have a bit more responsibility of what you want to explore in school. So to me, I think that's what drove my decisions when I came into NTU as an undergrad, and different activities that I joined. I wanted to maximize what I have. And I was sharing just now, right? So like there are a lot of resources out there. So and the faculty members, the school itself, they're very supportive of student-led activities. They want students to succeed. They want students to basically be a better person after the 4 or 3 years with NTU and MBS. So I think to me that's what kind of eventually led to the different activities. And to cope, I would say you have to kind of deal with less sleep, to be very frank out there. But ultimately, what you have is a very maximized, fulfilled 3-4 years in school. You meet a lot of people. You connect with a lot of people with outside MBS. So I think that's one thing I would encourage people to do. Beyond MBS itself, do speak to people from other faculties. Because in terms of perspective, and that's where in work life as well, you're not working with all business students. You're working with people from engineering background, you're working with people from computer science background. You need to be able to manage that, because there are different ways of people thinking through things, of how people problem solve. And that's where if you do also step out of MBS when you're undergrad here and go talk to people, interact with people, work with people outside MBS, that's where you know and learn how to be more flexible in the workplace. So I think that's one aspect that I would say. Yeah.
Actually, interesting motto, work hard, play hard. I like that one. But actually, it depends on the individual's ability, whether they can cope with work hard, play hard, right? Yeah. Okay. So you have to look at your own ability as well. Okay, whether you can cope with it and prioritize it. Okay, which activity you have to do first. Okay, prioritize it.
And maybe if I may on the prioritizing part,
yeah.
I think eventually, ultimately you have to know, like yes, work hard, play hard, and eventually at the end of 4 years, you know that you will have to land a job, or at least somewhat of something that kind of sustains you as working as an adult moving forward. So I think that's where you have to keep that goal in mind. And honestly, and I think I was sharing with Dr. Chanika previously during our sessions as well, I do think that NBS itself, we have a good career office. We have a very strong career office. So that's where you can always look to, at least that was for me as undergrad, I look to them to give advice on how do I enter this industry that, it was not really heard of within NTU at the point of time. So they give a lot of advice, they give opportunities, as long as you don't speak to them, they are willing to help. So I think to me that's one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk a bit about after graduation. Okay, 4 years life in NBS, you know already what did it look like, right? Now talk about the after graduation. How did you find your first job, and can you share with us about your first working experience after graduation?
Sure. So with the first job, how I landed it, so I was sharing my journey was more after year one. I knew management consulting was something that I was interested in. I took a few internships, and eventually how I landed it was that that period whereby I was finding jobs after before I graduate. It was all focused on consulting companies. So like basically, my resume was kind of built towards that. That's one thing. And then secondly was that I was focused on trying my best to do an ace in these interviews as well. So I was quite focused on that. And eventually that landed me to a role that I was quite satisfied with or happy with, which was with Booz Allen Hamilton. It was the first management consulting role that I had. So it is a management consulting company. I think in terms of experience there, it was interesting. So because with Booz Allen in the Asia office, they were very focused on cybersecurity. So it was an element that was something that I didn't really learn in school. So that's where eventually, I think one aspect of that and what that experience gave me was that you need to learn how to learn. I think that's ultimately one thing that you have to know out in the field, right? So like because you can't always be working in the same, or it depends. So if you really want a particular topic, then yes, go for it. But sometimes if you want that variety, you always have new topics coming in. So you always have to learn how to learn a new topic and how do I succeed with this cybersecurity thing that I've never even learned. And frankly speaking, I'm not the best IT tech guy. So it was an uphill battle or uphill slope for me to learn and pick up. But eventually you get through it, you know how to pick things up, and things are readily available online. So you talk to your colleagues, you pick things up online, you do your own readings, and eventually that kind of just you have to be independent, like eventually in these kind of situations. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when we talk about learning is a process, right? Along your own, the whole life, right? Yeah, it's learning process. Okay. Okay, so that is your first job experience. Did you use, our courses to apply in your first job?
For my first,
we will focus a bit more on the banking finance. That you use any contents, or concepts from our courses to apply in your first job. Consultant, right?
Yes. For my first job, I would say not really, because for my first job, yes, I was expecting myself to apply actually the finance concepts into my first job as a management consultant, but ultimately because the firm was focused more on cybersecurity and like more digital kind of work, that I didn't manage to apply that, because eventually it was a new topic that I had to pick up during my workplace. Yeah, but I would say that in my second job, my current opportunity, I do. So currently I'm working as a corporate strategist within Middle Eastern conglomerate. So with the company, what it has is that its operations are primarily based in Middle East, so Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, and mainly they are automotive distributor, so they distribute vehicles within the country. And beyond that, after years of doing that and doing that very successfully, they then pivoted into more industries, and that's why it became a conglomerate whereby they eventually ventured into financial services. And eventually I'll talk a bit more about how the courses here, they kind of led into that. So financial services, they have healthcare, so they're distributing healthcare products. They went into energy and environment, so they have solar plants, they have water management plants, they have an investment company set up under them as well. So it is a conglomerate with multiple industries under them. And within my role in corporate strategy, we then kind of have to basically look in the different sectors. And then one thing is to figure out how to be competitive in this sector. How do we win in this sector? And that's where we have to chart out what are the, based on the idea or based on the goals we have, what are the activities that need to be done by the companies to achieve what we want to achieve. And beyond that, we also have to constantly look into the outside environment, right? So like things are constantly changing. And when I joined this company, it was during middle of COVID. So things are really changing for the companies, and they have to learn how to deal with this change. So maybe more about how eventually in this second job, the finance, banking and finance modules help. So within ALJ, right? So Abdul Latif Jamil, there is financial services, and I am kind of working very closely with the sector. So actually that's where all this knowledge of the banking industry helps. Having a boost, I think I took courses like bank risk. I'm not sure if it's still there. Bank risk. I took courses like portfolio management. I think there was So all these are the courses that I took. Eventually, those were very important for me as a foundation to understand financial services industry. And I think as Dr. Chanika mentioned, right, at the start, the financial services industry is huge in the world. So like it is kind of a core industry for a lot of countries beyond just Singapore itself. So that's where it is important. And eventually, as me looking more towards financial services industry sector, there are a lot of changes in the financial services industry as well, in terms of how financial services are being delivered. So there's whole digital transformation aspect. That's where the digital transformation aspect, people are using more direct. So people are preferring less branches. People are using everything on the phone, the mobile phone. So I think that's the element. And then there's also element about the ESG component. So I think that's what Dr. Chanika mentioned as well in the MAS map. Sustainability, finance. These are topics that are growingly important. How do you make sure that financial services are more inclusive? And that's where I'm glad that NBS have kind of shifted their modules and also kind of catered towards what is needed out there. Because eventually, I think when I was undergrad, there wasn't that 4 pillars. But now there's that 4 pillars. And it does help you kind of chart into what you want.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm glad to see that there's also like fintech as one of pillars, because I think that's definitely a topic that all financial services, everybody's talking about. Either you're in an industry, even if you are not in an industry, as a tech player, a lot of them are entering financial services. You can see Grab, you can see Alibaba, and they were all non-financial services player, but eventually they also ventured into financial services and offering deposits, loans, microinsurance. So beyond just the banks, a lot of people are talking about it as well. So I think that's where, the banking and finance courses, back to the question, the banking and finance courses did help. And ultimately, there's one element, which is the business case. So I had to use the DCF model, all this, to kind of prepare the business cases for the businesses for new investments as well. So I think those did help me in my current role.
DCF model is the discounted cash flows model.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And one interesting thing that I would like to know is how did you find a second job?
Yes. I would say it's through network. I think that's one element, as in, I have to be frank, and that's really through network, and that's where, yes, you need eventually to, through your time, and it was a network that I had when I was in internship. So that was when I had that 6 months internship. You grow relationships with these people, you build rapport with them, and they see you as a trusted individual. In a workplace, they see you as someone who is responsible, and I think these relationships, they last. And actually that was how I landed in this second role of mine, whereby people approached and like, hey, there's this new opportunity, will you be interested? And it was an opportunity, it was an interesting opportunity. I never expected myself to be joining a Middle Eastern company in my life. So I think to me, that's something that be open about it also. I think that's one thing also when you're in the workplace, be open about opportunities, to not shut down something just because you think it's something, think it's not really good. Be open about it, listen to it, and then you never know where you will land.
Yeah, that's right. And it is good to explore,
Yes.
not only domestically, you to go international,
Yes.
right? Okay, all right. I think that's all that we are going to talk about today. Okay, so the time is up now, and if you have more questions, please post your question on the slido.com, and we will answer the questions through our social media. Okay, and thank you for joining us today.
Choose MBS because it empowers you to be your best, because it helps you discover a better you for the future that you dream of.
Basically, to find ourselves and to learn how you can make an impact in this world.
Come to NBS to experience a different you. See you at NBS.
See you at NBS.
See you at NBS. See you at NBS.
I look forward to seeing you at NBS.